Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Robbie Basel Show. Good evening, everybody. Today is June 2nd. It's weird that we're already in June and it's already episode 8. It feels very weird, but exciting. Thank you all, first of all, for the support for the show. We've gotten all right viewership. Eventually, I know how Into the Stands went that the viewership will pick up eventually. But make sure to always like and subscribe, like the video, subscribe if you want to, turn on post notifications if you want to, do all that fun stuff. Enough about that YouTube nonsense because we have a lot to talk about tonight. We have soccer news, a lot of transfer news going on. It went over the last 24 hours, last 48 hours. It's been absolute chaos. And I get to talk about it for you guys. And by the way, I get to do a quick commentary on why Saudi Arabia could be ruining soccer for the long term. Additionally, Stanley Cup playoffs begin tomorrow. What players should you watch out for in the Stanley Cup Finals in this 7-game series, best of 7 series? Plus a recap of NBA Finals Game 1 and a preview of the F1 Grand Prix in España in Barcelona, plus an update on the French Open as well. All that and possibly a bonus topic of an NFL player. But we begin in the aforementioned transfer window as the big news from the last few days was Kareem Benzema. We'll start with Benzema, who possibly has played his last game for Real Madrid. The transfer news has come around, full circle from this Fabrizio Romano tweet that there is a deal from a Saudi Arabian club to purchase Kareem Benzema and steal him from Real Madrid, as Kareem Benzema is currently going to be a free agent if he doesn't re-sign a deal with Real Madrid in the coming days. This is concerning, and I'll explain why in a second, because there's also multiple other players that have been rumored to possibly be heading to Saudi Arabia. Those players including Sergio Ramos, who is going to play his last game for PSG this weekend, according to Fabrizio Romano. The news has come out. If I can just scroll all the way up, because there's a lot to talk about, honestly. The news, Sergio Ramos has decided to leave PSG as a free agent. He'll not sign a new deal. From Ramos, he says, tomorrow I'll say goodbye to another stage of my life, and it's a goodbye to PSG. Now, he has had an interesting career, of course, playing for Real Madrid, then going to PSG. I would not be shocked if his next link is a Saudi club. Which one? I don't know. I don't watch the Saudi league. And I don't know why. I mean, the Saudi league has been very interesting recently. You want to wonder why? Cristiano Ronaldo is not moving from Al Nassr, which doesn't make any sense because the Saudi league is going to turn, and hear me out now, this is the new MLS, but worse. And the reason I say worse is because the reason they're all doing this is for the money. This isn't about the quality of play. This isn't about anything else. The players are getting older and they want their bag. This is the only reason they're doing this. And it's going to ruin the game of soccer. Because for Saudi Arabia, for context, the Saudi Arabian league, I think is terrible. And it's carried by Ronaldo. Ronaldo didn't even do much, from my knowledge, in the Saudi league in the beginning, and then he started playing decent and for the standards of the Saudi league. I mean, I think he should be in how many matches? Like 24-ish. He's expecting to score like 15 plus goals because how bad it is. At the same time, I thought he'd be linked to Newcastle. I think that pairing him, helping Isak learn what it's like to play in the Champions League, I thought would be very crucial. They didn't do that, and they're going to ride and die with Isak at their number 9. But yeah, very interesting approach from a lot of the players. I mean, Lionel Messi will play his last game for PSG as well on over the weekend. But man, oh man, this is getting really stupid. Why? If European football is going to die like this, then why? It just doesn't make any sense. And you do see players staying loyal to Europe. Luka Modric, shout out to him because he's an absolute stud. He's rejected any form of deal to Saudi Arabia, and he's staying at Real Madrid. That is what I thought everyone else would do. But no, these guys are selfish. They're going to go for the money. But it's very weird. And I didn't think we'd ever get in this situation in the first place for how bad this league is. But enough about Saudi Arabia because I can go rant on this for hours. Another big piece of transfer news was Rafael Leao re-signing his deal, officially re-signing his deal with AC Milan. $175 million release clause for Rafael Leao, who had 13 goals and I believe 7 or 8 assists last year for AC Milan. I think is absolutely ridiculous. No one's going to pay that. So this secures their striker for long term for AC Milan. And it's a very interesting situation because AC Milan, I think, could be pieces away from really elevating themselves among the rest because they're going to be playing European football for the next who knows how long. It's just going to be the matter of will they have the pieces, big enough pieces, to really elevate their level and get them into the spot of, let's say, a Champions League knockouts, deep in the Champions League knockouts. They are third in the Champions. If they get out of if they don't make it in the Champions League, can they get far in the Europa League or in the Europa League? They're the new formats of everything soon. For next year, it's going to be if they make it big enough moves, will they get into the knockouts or will they be in Europa League and go far in their knockouts? So it's a very interesting situation for AC Milan. I don't expect them to be very quiet in the transfer window. Don't expect that whatsoever because AC Milan needs to make moves. They need to make moves now, and the time to do it will be very soon because a lot of teams are making moves, and AC Milan should not be falling asleep. NFL reference for those who don't watch the NFL, the soccer that much, they're going to try not to do what the Packers did and just fall asleep in free agency, absolutely nothing, and just lose everybody. They're going to go out and they're going to try to be like how Jacksonville was and just sign all these. They should be like Jacksonville and just sign all these good players. That's your reference. That's your comparison. I think it's a very fair comparison. But yeah, quickly going back to Saudi because I need to get it out of my head as well. What for? No one, if you want to get recognition for the Saudi League, the Saudi Arabian national team, this just came up in my head now, and I forgot to say it earlier. The Saudi Arabian national team needs to be better and to start getting recognition themselves and make it out of a World Cup knockout round. Y'all beat Argentina. Good for you. Don't lose your other matches. They finished fourth after beating Argentina. I've never seen anyone even remotely do something like that. I don't know. It's terrible. I mean, if you want to go out and sign these old players and be like the old MLS, good for you. At least find an easier, cheaper way for people to watch this thing. I'm going to be dead honest. I have no idea how to watch this league. I bet there's some easy way. I haven't done enough research into this, but there's just insane that players are just going for the money. This is turning into what Live Golf is, where they're just throwing out money with their public investment fund and then just stealing all these players. Like, you could possibly see Messi, Ronaldo, like, bro, there's so many players, Ramos, in this league, and no one's going to care about it at all. I think, though, an interesting thing to know would be the only reason they're doing this is to win another form of a Champions League. I don't even know if Al Nassr is going to be in the Asian Champions League next year. I have no idea. So, but I think, wouldn't you want to win the more prestigious trophy? The more prestigious trophy? I don't get it. Let me know in the comments down below, or if you're in the chat, which there actually isn't anyone right now, it's just sad. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts about this. Because it's a weird situation for soccer as a whole. But I don't want to rant about this anymore. There's a lot more other things to talk about. We have one more transfer to go over, and then some big news in the international game, and a preview of what to come for. We'll actually start with that. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to start with moves from Real Madrid. They have two moves upcoming. They're possibly losing Benzema. They have a possibility of a replacement. That player is Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz has had interest Real Madrid has had apparently concrete interest in Kai Havertz. He's one of the players on the list, really appreciated by Carlo Ancelotti. But it's interesting to see that Chelsea are open to discuss Havertz's exit, but they want a big fee and they don't want a loan. So this makes sense for Chelsea because they have a good amount of talent up front. But I'm interested to see moving Havertz now is interesting because I think that it's possibly one of their more expensive players, which doesn't make sense unless it's like something with FFP for in the future. This is very interesting from Chelsea. Moving on a guy like Kai Havertz, he's been decent for them for the last couple of seasons. I'm interested to see how far this can progress. But yeah, Kai Havertz is a replacement for Benzema. I think it's a good fit. You would see him on. I think you could see him possibly on Borussia Dortmund if you want to put him there as well. Or, put him like with Haller. I think that'd be a good fit as well. But I think a couple of top teams. I wouldn't be shocked if a decent amount of top teams would have high interest in Kai Havertz within the coming days. I mean, he's a solid player. He's getting ruined by Chelsea. I'm interested to see if Real Madrid or another big club goes after him. Also, one other big note, Marco Asensio is possibly moving to PSG. This is before my other transfers because I have a transfer and something to talk about with the national team. A big move, Asensio. Where will he be heading? Rumor has it from Fabrizio Romano that Aston Villa has put in a possible bid for Marco Asensio. However, PSG have swooped in and likely signed Marco Asensio. So Asensio could be heading to Paris. I don't know how I feel about this. They are trying to ship out Messi and possibly Neymar to get different pieces for Mbappe, but I don't know. It just seems very weird for me. This is just a quick note. I don't know enough about the deal to really talk about it, but a deal I do know what to talk about it, and a deal I've talked about multiple times, and a deal that could be officially could be soon becoming official, is Jude Bellingham finally signing the contract. This has been going on forever. Ever since episode 1, we have talked about Jude Bellingham. By the way, his brother is possibly going to be moving as well. If you sign him in FIFA, he's like 300, if like 400K. He's moving for $3 million from Birmingham City, which I think is stupid. But according to Fabrizio Romano from a couple hours ago, feeling close to Jude Bellingham deal confirmed now again. Strong indications on next week as the right time to get the agreement done. Now, the reason this deal hasn't happened yet is because, and this is kudos to Real Madrid for this, they wanted to wait until the Bundesliga season ended, which fun to know about how the Bundesliga season ended. Remember when Bayern lifted the trophy? It looks like something you'd win at Wimbledon, honestly. Tennis reference there. That was a replica. The real one was in Dortmund, and Munich won the trophy. Just a fun thing to know. But this is finally going to end. It says from 14 hours ago from the time we're posting this video, Real Madrid hope to complete deals with Jude Bellingham deal next week. Talks are advancing also on final step, means add-on package in addition to the $100 million fixed fee to Dortmund. So you're telling me that this dude is valued as much as Jack Grealish. That doesn't make any sense for me. I thought you'd be getting a lot more for him if you're Borussia Dortmund. However, that's just a fixed fee, and there's going to be add-ons later. I think there could be 34, possibly 40 million in add-ons. That's how crazy I think this deal can get. But the 6-year contract for a possible Real Madrid player could be coming soon, and it's finally going to happen. It's been 4 weeks since we officially started talking about this. We talked about him. We talked about Endrick, which go watch episode 1 if you want to hear about him, because I didn't describe it great, but just saying his name again, Endrick, player watch of the future. He's currently playing in Brazil. But for Jude Bellingham, finally this is going to happen, and finally he'll be heading to Madrid within probably the next 10 days. Finally, something with the United States men's national team. And conveniently, I'm wearing a USA shirt for this. And that is with, I can't remember if I'm even saying his name right, Florid Balogun. I want to make sure that I'm saying this right, because I don't think I am. But the U.S. men's national team recently acquired, so there was a decision with Balogun. I can't even find the roster, which is hilarious. But Belugan is a was decided between the U.S. men's national team and other nationalities to become a full-time international player on a national team. He's decided to play for the United States, which I think is massive because you will see him for the first time probably within the next 2 weeks in the CONCACAF Nations League semifinal. I think is the first time you're going to be able to see him play for the Stars and Stripes. And by the way, June 12th, remember that date, Monday, June 12th, 8 p.m., possibly we're doing, I don't know if I'm doing a stream yet or an edited video. I'm still trying to figure that out. Make sure you follow the Instagram for this channel at the Robbie Basel Show. I'll give you all the information and insight on what's been going on there. It's likely going to be a stream. I wish it was an edited video, but it's likely going to be a stream for how much we're going to be talking about and how much I wish I could show you guys on screen. But yeah, Beluga possibly playing as that number 9, I think is more crucial to the United States than you think. Because the United States hasn't had a good number 9 probably since like Clint Dempsey, which for context is like, I don't know, 2 World Cup cycles ago now. 2014 World Cup is when we really had like a really good Clint Dempsey, or you want to go even further back with Landon Donovan. But, with the system that we have, it's going to be interesting long term what the U.S. men's national team looks like. But yeah, a lot of soccer news, and I didn't expect that when writing up the topics for the show today or this evening. But enough about soccer. Let's head to topics that people are really interested in, and that is Major League Baseball. A quick update for Major League Baseball. You want to hear? I'm going to give you some surprises and disappointments. Once again, as I usually have been doing for the last couple of weeks, the surprise in the American League. By the way, quick note: Liam Hendricks came back to the White Sox after battling cancer. Cancer, and that's my PSA on that. But the surprising team so far has been. It's still going to be Baltimore until it's not. Baltimore being 35-21, 4 games back of the Rays. 2 games in the cushion for the wild card. The Baltimore Orioles are just that team. They have so many good pieces. If only they added pitching depth. I'm going to say this for like the next couple of months. If only they added pitching, they would be absolutely crazy. But the Baltimore Orioles, I think, are a solid team. They're ahead of the Yankees, ahead of Toronto, who I think has been falling off a little bit. The Yankees are actually doing things. They've won 6 of 10. Boston has been slipping a little bit. They've lost 7 of 10 to fall out of the picture a little bit, but they're still only 1 game behind Toronto for 4th in the East in the American League. My disappointing team, there's not a lot of options here in the American League because no one's really screwing up. But, I was going to say the White Sox again. My disappointing team is just going to be the AL Central as a whole. Wow, what a mess. This division's a mess. You have Minnesota in first. That's the only team above 500 in the American League Central Division. That's ridiculous. I mean, you have Detroit who's in second, then Cleveland in third is really odd for me because Detroit was projected by me in the Into the Stands crew as to do absolutely nothing. And what have they done? They've only gone in second despite being under 500. For NFL comparison, this is the NFC East of like 2021, 2020, when Washington won because Washington made the playoffs because the Eagles like tanked and everyone's just terrible. That's the comparison I can have for the AL Central this year. The surprise team another surprise team that you still think can make the playoffs are the Angels because of how little depth they have. They also called up JUCO Bandit, as someone say, Ben Joyce, who went to JUCO and then went to Tennessee. He throws gas with a sinker. He's absolutely nasty. Go watch him on the Angels. He got called up like a couple days ago and throws 102 and struck out Altuve, which is hilarious. But the American League's a lot of fun, a lot of balance. Not as much mediocrity as the National League. The surprise team in the National League is the Diamondbacks. On. That's hilarious. The best record in the National League by a game over them. And they have solid pitching pieces. You want to talk about let's look at the Diamondbacks. I didn't really think we have time. We have a lot of time. let's look at Arizona. You want to talk about someone who's going absolutely nuts? As really flying under the radar. Christian Walker has 11 doubles. Yes, another guy who's going crazy is Lourdes Gurriel. 9 home runs, 33 RBIs. He's not. I mean, Lourdes Gurriel, Christian Walker, Gerardo Perdomo, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Diamondbacks. Disappointing team is just out of a wild card for how much everyone's imploding. This is currently sitting in second, only a half game out of first, which is miraculous. Disappointing. I mean, the Mets, my disappointing team really is going to be the Mets, but they've won to 10 and have leapfrogged the Marlins for second, which I thought it was going to be with Trey Turner. But my goodness, they've disappointed. But the Major League Baseball is a mess. But yeah, I'm probably in later June, right? Probably around there. I'll talk about that when it comes closer to that time. Next topic. We are going to talk brief about this very quick, is because I'm going to predict that absolutely nothing happens. Do you want to look at FP1? The top 5 are Verstappen, Perez, Ocon, Nick DeVries for some reason. So then Nico Hülkenberg, then Perez, Esteban Ocon again. The surprise person I think that's going to make the podium, I think Ocon can get up in this race, but the surprise person that I think can get on the podium is actually going to be Pierre Gasly. I think is going to be very competitive this week, possibly. But one thing I do know is that we will see the fastest lap portable. I hate that shit. Sector right towards the end of the track. On the ES, who's going to slip up? I have no idea who it is for how unpredictable qualifying is. If him or Alonso do very well, it's going to be very boring. Prediction: Max wins again. It's only be a matter of time for when I actually talk about the problem. I'll probably be during summer break in July or August. The midfield is interesting. The race gets boring, but I don't even need to talk about that right now because we have so much more to talk about. Our brief talk about F1, we're gonna head to another sport that I don't think anyone cares about. I'm going to talk about it anyway, and that is the French Open. I was able to watch a couple of matches today. Being Herbert Hurkacz. I definitely said Herbert Hurkacz or Hurkacz. I don't know. It's round 16. Distabes of Greece went out and beat Diego Schwartzman very convincingly. Alcaraz went down 4-1 and then won 5 straight games to get to 6. Alcaraz went down 4-1 and then won 5 straight games to get to 6-4 and win the set. No 7-6, 6-2. That match took an eternity. That was a 3-hour and 40-minute match. I was able to watch the end. That match took an eternity. That was a 3-hour and 40-minute match. I was able to watch the end of it because that match was taking. Also, Musetti beat Cam Norrie, which is interesting to note. My pick to win it all, and I didn't say it on stream because I knew it was going to be wrong, and it is wrong, was my guy Yannick Sinner. How decent he is on the clay dirt court. He went out and lost in the round of 64 in 5 sets after winning the first set, dropping the second. Using the first set, dropping the second. He was 2-1 up in sets, and then went out to drop the last 2 to Altmaier. I totally said that wrong. But Altmaier. One person who I think can still win it is Tiafoe because he went out and won USA. I think he can still win it. He's been competed to lose. And Gil Monfils, the French stud, went out and had to withdraw, letting Holger Rune go out and win. The surprising match, interesting round of 32 again, with the second week beginning. It's Tiafoe and Zverev tomorrow at 2:15 p.m. Would be my match to watch on the men's side. On the women's side, because it's only fair that we talk about both of them. On the women's side, because it's only fair that we talk about both of them. The interesting one was Sloane Stephens beating Putintseva from Kazakhstan. Only reason I'm talking about because it's Kazakhstan. I don't really think anyone cares about someone from Kazakhstan. Mertens went out and because her father owns the Bills and I believe owns the Bills and the Sabres. I don't know. That was an upset. Another interesting. Cannot believe I told me that one to say that. Beat Niskova. Tech went out and walked over her opponent, absolutely destroying them. And of course, Coco Gauff of USA going out and winning as well. Interesting matchups tomorrow. Rybakina, I still can't say that name right. Plays tomorrow at 5:45 a.m. I am not waking up that early. Jabur from I believe it's Montenegro. I believe it's a place at 10:15. Swiatek plays Wang at 9. Watch out, week is coming up soon. But yeah, it's really weird to see disappointment, and I keep thinking why. And that is Agur Aliasime, who went out and lost to a qualifier in the first round. Because why not at this point? This dude has gone out and choked in majors left and right, and he's still the 10 seed. How is this possible? How does he keep doing this? That's what I want to know. He might have lost. Now on the wrong page. Professional right here, guys. About this, guys. A little bit of difficulties here. Fanini. So Fanini lost to Offner. So he lost in the round 32. The battle of the qualifiers. But man, dude, that's a problem for Gural Yasame, the Canadian, in a major once again. But yeah, my prediction. Who do I have for who's left? My player to watch out for the Norwegian because of how good he is in majors. I'm gonna say him and Tiafo. Would be my ones to watch. Root and Tiafo. They both play tomorrow, and then for the one, Ketchena would be interesting along. But don't be surprised if Jabur or Swiatek win it. I'm gonna say actually Jabur on the stream. If you're watching the stream live, thank you for joining. Now, NBA Finals, the topic that people really care about, and we'll begin with the we're 3-0 openers in the playoffs so far, and they go out and lose. I think my thought was, and I picked Miami to win this game, and they go out and lose. One thing I'm going to know: stop predicting games. Stop predicting games. But I said Denver in 7 over Boston. I would think Denver still wins the series. But a week and a half didn't hurt them, and the NBA, what a shocker. Jamal Murray scored 26. Once again, no shocker there either. As they waltzed over Miami after Jimmy Butler did absolutely nothing. Bam Adebayo, I believe, was their leading scorer. But man, Miami couldn't shoot last night. I mean, that was a problem. I mean, Mike Malone said went up game one in Boston. So don't be surprised if they're going to come out firing. Well, what do? Denver won. And for reference, game 1 winners win the NBA when their series 70% of the time. So advantage Denver already. I thought it was going to be advantage Denver to begin with because I thought they had the better team, of course. But it's a bigger advantage now to Denver. Now that they've are in control early in the series and have won game 1. Had 27, 14, and 10, which is absolutely stupid. I mean, he's done everything for them, a lot for them. Aaron Gordon at 16, MPJ had 14. They trailed for all of 30 more seconds and eventually led by as many as 24. Bam had 26 and 19. Hayward Highsmith at 18, I believe, off the bench. And Jimmy Butler did absolutely nothing, I believe, off the bench. And Jimmy Butler did absolutely nothing, who had 13 points. Though, one other thing weird to note, and I'm going to be interested to see how you guys feel about this. The Heat had 2 free throws attempts from the line in a playoff game. And the previous record was 3. The Lakers had the previous mark in 1983 when they made 3 and shot 5. Went 3 for 5 against Philadelphia on May 26th, 1983. And Bam said it perfectly. We made history. But unfortunately, Bam, it was for the wrong reason. We made history. But unfortunately, Bam, it was for the wrong reason. Miami opened the 4th after they were getting ran off the court in the beginning. Miami got 1-11 run to cut the deficit, cutting it 84-60. No, the game didn't get close afterwards. Gabe Vincent said it perfectly. It's a long series. First to 4 games wins. I think adjustments are going to be made from both teams. I'm interested to see how Miami comes out tomorrow, and that's going to be one of my 2 games to watch for tomorrow for playoff games because NHL game 1, Stanley Cup Finals game 1 is tomorrow. So yeah, definitely. I'll talk about that next. But overall thoughts, the Heat could not shoot. That is why they lost. Caleb Martin went 1 for 7. Max Strus 0 for 10, including 0 for 9 for 3. And just became the second player in the last 45 years. The other one, which is even more surprising, was Ray Allen, who shot over 13 for Boston against the Lakers. Had comments about the shooting as well, saying it was not in short it wasn't great. The Heat, Miami fell to 1-6 all time in Game 1 to the NBA Finals. The Heat lost the series opener in each of their title years. Fun to note. In 2006, 2012, and 2013. In 2006, 2012, and 2013. And their only win came in 2011. The series, they eventually lost to Dallas. But Jokic became the 8th player to have a triple-double in Game 1 of a Finals. None of the others were a very interesting series so far, but I don't expect Miami to come out firing more shots. But I think they're going to be working on a lot of shooting drills ahead of Game 2, which will be a very interesting one to watch out for. Our second unshot much, though. Jesus. I did say Vegas in 6 for this series, and Vegas went out and won in 6. And by a score conventionally of 6-0. I said watch out for William Karlsson because he had done not that much. But yeah, he went absolutely crazy. Marshall had to go. Keegan Cull, I'm not even gonna try it. Had to go. And he also that guy Amadio had an assist. Bardashev had an assist. Carey had an assist as well. Karlsson had 1. Riley Smith had 2. Nicholas Roy had 1, and Kolesar had 1. Dallas got ran off the ice. I don't think there's much that needs to be talked about it. Vegas beat I believe Paul Maurice is the coach of the Stars. But a year after firing your coach, you've made the Stanley Cup Finals, and they've made adjustments. They've done everything right. They scored 3 goals or the first few possessions. Apologies for that. You knew that Vegas was winning this game. So now they have gone to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Panthers tomorrow night at 8 p.m. And I'm going to give you 2 players to watch out for. Now, the last time I did this, I think that I gave 2 obvious of players, like 2 big name of players to watch out for. This time I'm doing something completely different. It's for the series. I think these players are going to go crazy. I'm going to name you 2 players from each team. The first player from Vegas, I'm going to go with Jonathan Marchessault. Now, this play probably won't seem shocking, and they're going to go like, Robbie, why did you pick this player? He's second in points. You want to know why? This dude has been the most balanced player. Played very well in the playoffs as a whole. I think he's going to go crazy. Don't expect that he makes a bigger impact than some even think he could make. 4+ goals, I wouldn't make that out of the question for sure. I mean, Jonathan Marchessault really had a big impact throughout the series that so far in the first 17 games. Plus dynasty highs on the Vegas Golden Knights. But yeah, he's had 2 assists on the power play. He's had 62 shots, which leads the team. He's just done a lot for them, and I think he will continue to do his reign of terror across the rest of the playoffs. And I would expect a Jonathan back in the Stanley Cup. Riley Smith, for Vegas, 2 goals, 9 assists, and 11 points total. Plus minus is 7. Fun thing to note, he's only had 2 penalty minutes. And one thing to note, they have no one got penalized in that series with Dallas, which was until really game 6. Just fun thing to note. But Riley Smith has done a lot for Vegas in the playoffs as well. He's really that big playmaker. I believe he's had an assist in a lot of games recently. But Riley Smith, I think, is going to have a big impact as well. Don't expect to see Riley Smith vanish away in the finals, because this is Vegas' finals to win. They got shut down by the Capitals last year in their inaugural season. And you remember, if you really paid attention to the Vegas story, the Vegas executives thought they'd be competing by year 5 or 6. It's year 5, and you're contending still. This is perfect for competing by year 5 or 6. It's year 5, and you're contending still. This is perfect for them. Right in the a little bit ahead of schedule, but kind of, which is good. They're doing good, which is good. They're doing good. But yeah, Riley Smith, I think, is gonna have if he has a big series as well. He has played one less game than some of these guys on the team. One thing I just think is hilarious. He has 48 penalty minutes. That's like more than like half the team. What's even more funny is that despite Vegas not getting penalized a lot, Florida has almost 50 penalty minutes less than Vegas. So don't expect there to be a lot of penalties in this series, which I think is good. But Sam Bennett has just under 20% of the penalty minutes by the team, which I think is miraculous. 4 points, 7 assists, 11 points total. One of the highest plus minuses on the team at 7. 21 minutes per game, which is higher than any player I've said, almost higher than any player I've said so far. I think he's going to go crazy. Florida with their forecheck, I think that's going to be very good. I think Sam Bennett could have a piece in that. Other player to possibly watch out for is Anthony Duclair. Now, Anthony Duclair has 3 goals, 6 assists, 9 points. I think he's going to turn that plus minus around because his plus minus is currently -2, which is weird for me. I thought him and Nick Cousins, my original pick was him and Nick Cousins, but they both had terrible plus minuses. But Anthony Duclair, I think, has just vanished so far in the playoffs. Now, granted, he has 9 points. He really hasn't done much like awe-inspiring for me. But I think he'll change that in the cup finals. So Anthony Duclair and Sam Bennett are my players to watch for Florida. I think they're both going to play well. Don't expect both of them to have at least multiple goals or assists. Just points in total, 5 points each, I think, possibly for both of these two in the finals. And then for Vegas, it was Riley Smith and Jonathan Marchessault. My final topic tonight is just going to be a reaction from an Instagram story. And I'm just going to pull up my stream's lagging. Is it actually? That's annoying. Hold on. One moment here, guys. Apologies if there is any lag. I didn't expect there to be any. But just to recap real quick, if there is any lag, I'm just going to wait for 1 second. Yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying the content that I produced so far. Of course, before I go into my last topic, just a reminder, June 12th is going to be the stream where we go over the summer international break for soccer, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm also planning on doing streams in Atlanta and New Rochelle, so that'll be a lot of fun. Cannot wait for those trips as well. Is it less laggy? Yes or no in the chat. Shout out to Jay, who's helping me out with this, by the way, because I didn't even know. I'm just going to presume like it is. So just for a recap, you didn't write it in the group in the text. Oh, whatever. Appreciate it. Oh, I didn't see the first one. Perfect. Yeah, the Wi-Fi is currently a storm. My fault. Just to recap, my players to watch out for in the Stanley Cup Finals from the Vegas are Jonathan Marchessault and Riley Smith. I think they're both going to have big impacts. And for Florida, it is Anthony Duclair and Sam Bennett are my players to watch out for in the Stanley Cup Finals. But we have one topic left to talk about, and it's just something that came up to me today that I got a text about. And it's something a little bit from a man named DeAndre Hopkins. Chat. Just quick thought. Where do you think Hopkins goes? I just want to know from your perspective. Shout out to Jay, of course. Where does he go, Jay? Prediction. I just want to know this because, yeah, I know. I mean, I knew it. He had to be. The Chiefs. I like that pick. The Chiefs, I think, are going to be very predictable. He's making his announcement on my man can't even spell Tuesday right. He said Tuesday. Trusay? Trusay. I don't even know what that means. I don't even want to question it. But my pick for him, I have two predictable ones and one unpredictable take. My first one, Jay said it first. I'm still saying it. And that's the Kansas City Chiefs. They need a wide receiver one. I think they have some. If they keep developing their other players, I think DeAndre Hopkins will fit very well in the system that Andy Reid has. And DeAndre Hopkins, I think, would be a complete menace on Kansas City. The other team that I think can really be not really an under the radar pick to sign DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, there really isn't like another notable team, but I'm just gonna say the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Buffalo Bills, I was just about to. Yeah, I mean, my problem is DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's gonna want a lot of money, and no one's gonna give it to him. So I'm going to say the Buffalo Bills. Now, Stephon Diggs, and he's mentioned in the check-in, this guy's reading my mind, and it's driving me crazy. Don't worry. I do have some unpredictable ones that are not going to be the same as you. I love this. But the Bills would be a very interesting fit. I would hate to see it as a Jets fan. But, I mean, Buffalo would be interesting because you know the problem with Stephon Diggs. Diggs, Davis, D-Hop? 3D, possibly. I mean, that's what you could call them. I don't know what's going on. But Tuesday will be very interesting. But now I'm going to name you a couple under the radar picks for this. My first one is the Patriots, staying in the AFC East. Now, the New England Patriots, I think their defense is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they beat the Jet. I think they'd be like the one that'd be like 9-6. If they need an offensive weapon, why not go get DeAndre Hopkins? New England, D-Hop, very interesting fit. I think that would fit very well. Adding to giving help to Mac Jones, I think would be a very interesting fit in New England. My second team, we are going to the north for both of them. My first one, and they're not really under the radar, but I'm going with the Baltimore Ravens. So the Baltimore Ravens, I think, would be a very interesting situation. And this is the one I think that's going to be the least possible out of the ones that I pick for this reason. I don't know how he's going to gel with Odell Beckham if he does go to the the Ravens, excuse me. How will that chemistry be? When you have Odell, you have Devin Duvernay, you have other pieces. I'm probably forgetting Rashad Bateman. And adding a guy like DeAndre Hopkins would bring, I think, more stability to the wide receiver group at the Ravens. That's the only reason I can really think about them really think the Ravens would be in the mix. Try to bring more stability to Lamar Jackson. And my final team, super under the radar, but I think can make a move for this reason. I'm talking the Cleveland Browns. I don't think many people are going to like this one, but the Cleveland Browns, I think, can make this work. And the reason is, remember, Deshaun Watson's number one wide receiver when they're winning all those AFC South titles was DeAndre Hopkins. And I think that connection can rejuvenate Deshaun Watson's career. I'm dead serious. If DeAndre Hopkins takes a pay cut, which I don't know if he does, the Cleveland Browns, I think, could be a dark horse playoff contender. You can use that terminology as much as you want, but the Cleveland Browns, I think, can really make themselves as contenders if they added a true second receiver or a better receiver than Amari Cooper. I think DeAndre Hopkins would be the perfect fit for this situation. Now, what topics do we want to quickly recap what we talked about today? We talked about transfers. What has happened in the transfer window so far? I'm going to recap more about it on Monday. Possibly the closing deals for Jude Bellingham and possible moves of Benzema, Messi, and Sergio Ramos, among others. We talked about the Stanley Cup playoffs and who I think can make a big and who do I think can make a big impact in the series. I gave you 4 players to watch: Riley Smith, Jonathan Marchessault. We had Sam Bennett and Anthony Duclair. The NBA Finals and what's happened so far. And I said weeks ago, I still think the Nuggets win this series. They're going to win this series. I'm confident about it. I said it back a couple months ago on Into the Stands, and I think the Nuggets are going to win it. I went over the French Open and who I think could possibly make a big move in the French Open this year to help boost their world ranking. I gave you names like Francis Tiafoe and Coco Gauff from the USA. I gave you a guy like Casper Ruud from Norway. But right now, it's gonna be really come down to the top four. I think for both. And I also gave you Jabor for the women's, who I think can win it. I also gave you update on Major League Baseball, who's sliding, who I think can still be a dark horse to make the playoffs, and why these Central divisions are so bad. I think I have to make a video on that. Maybe I make a whole YouTube video on that. Who knows? And we also finally talked about F1 and why I think Max Verstappen is going to absolutely run away with it in Barcelona. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you for watching the episode. We return on Monday with a weekend recap. And I bet there's going to be a lot to talk about, whether it be in the transfer window, and there'll be a lot of recaps from the stuff we talked about today, including race updates from F1 and the French Open, among other topics, including probably the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup playoffs. And remember, mark it on your calendars, June 12th, international soccer preview. It's going to be a whole stream dedicated to that on June 12th. I'm literally making notes for this now. I started all my research for it. I get to talk to you about Africa, North America, and CONCACAF. There's 2 tournaments in CONCACAF, 2 tournaments in Europe, and 1 in Africa. I get to talk to you all about it on June 12th. But you get to wait for that. You have to wait for that episode for about a week and a half. But for now, I'll see you guys on Monday. This is Robbie Basel signing off. This is the end of episode 8. We'll see you guys Monday night.